We're going over airplanes today, all the different ways you can use them with all the different commands in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. A quick caveat on hasting versus not hasting. We can see on the engage directive here, we can click on it again and we'll get the little boot with the movement. Same thing goes with move commands. We'll get the boot with the movement if we toggle this by pressing, the same button twice. If we have planes that are flying, the only difference is that when they're not hasted, they move slowly, but if they're hasted, they're going to move much quicker. When planes are on their target, if they're haste moving, they're not going to be able to shoot as many missiles the first run that they do because they're moving quickly. So this is a trade-off as you get there. So in general, maybe you haste to the location and then you turn off haste so that when they attack, they're moving slower and they can be more efficient in how they attack. Starting from the bottom left, the first command we're looking at is the point command. The point command is good for situations, say like this, where we know that the enemy has a city and 3 industries and potentially more buildings, and we want all of our planes that we select this command for to go at the point and attack in the general vicinity. So we hit Q or click on this button to get the point command. We select the receiver of this command, which in this case can be interceptors and strikers. And if we just drop this point right here, all airports that are within range will send the planes to go attack. We can of course have a move command. In a move command, the planes will only attack what's in their direct path. And if it's an attack command, they'll attack everything slightly off path, like we can see this northern interceptor doing, and the infantry in the trenches. Although we can see the planes will generally prefer sometimes to attack buildings. It's kind of a little bit RNG, but this is the idea. We have to be careful that our planes don't move out of this circle because they will proc a little bit, but you can see that this isn't far enough to run into those SAMs that are in the mountains. We can delete the point and everything goes home. The path command, which is the default selected command when you're just in a reset state, is the path command. So if we have a bunch of tanks that we assume are going to attack this gas or something in a line, we could just select the receivers, we're on attack move, and let's just try to follow this path and attack along it. And what this will do is the planes will fly to the beginning of the path, and then they will traverse along the path and end at the end and then do a circle at the end, and it'll act kind of like a point command. We'll see that all these planes will try to attack the tanks first and foremost, and then fly past them over time. So if you decide you need a point command to focus by the gas, you can do that. Otherwise, we can use a line command, and then at the end, all the planes will continue on and attack whatever is in range at the end. And when they're done with their payloads, they'll come home along the same line, or we can, of course, delete the line again and send everything home. There's 2 additional ways we can use the path command, but instead of using the attack or the engage directive for this, we can click S or click on the move command, and we can target specific buildings. Going back to how in a move command, planes will attack only what's directly in front of them in their path. So you want to hit this, finish off this depot, and then also try to attack these 2 factories in specific. We can start a path command, right? So we have the move directive on the path command. Strikers are picked for this because they do more damage to buildings, and we can start the command here, making sure that we stay within the range of our airports. We can do a little loop, and this way the planes will attack the first depot, attack the 2 factories, on their way back attack the 2 factories, the depot, and fly out of there. We can have this in a haste movement, but like we discussed, if you're on haste, the planes won't actually send out 2 missiles as they pass. They'll only send out 1 because they're moving too quick. So here comes these planes. We can hear that there's commandos around. We don't actually have enough units, but these infantry shouldn't get attacked really. Maybe these 2 will because they're close enough to the blue, but they don't even. So now those top 3 strikers are going to attack all these buildings. This commando will get attacked because it walked directly into the move command. And same thing, we could delete the line at this point, but the planes will fly directly from where they are back to the airport in a direct line, or we can let them fly to the end. If they still have missiles to do, they'll turn around and try to do this route again, I believe, like this one is doing. Or, if they're done, they will fly home. Like this one. So we can use that last part of the line to get a more favorable, direction back home that could potentially avoid units or SAMs or whatever we need to do. Second use of a retreated path command like we have set up here, if we reset the palette, so to speak, with spacebar, we can go for a path command on a move directive. Let's use interceptors for this. Interceptors are great scouts, and let's say we want to take a look at what's in these mountains. Something we can use the path command for is a more like directed scout path. So say we want to check all of this and just make sure that we kind of follow this line through the mountains to get a good view, we can send interceptors on a blue command. For a scout like this, we can definitely haste the planes, so we'll see they have like little jets going on at the end, signifying they're moving quicker. This is them at their normal speed, and this is interceptors hasted. We can use this to kind of track the mountains, and look at that, we have some commandos. The ones that are in direct path will get attacked, but otherwise the interceptors give us great vision of this. And at any point in time we can turn this into an attack move, and then they'll start attacking everything on the ground, and we can go back to a move command so that they don't really care. And same thing, we can wait for them to come all the way back, or we can just delete it. Important to note that when we had the haste command on the line there, and then we deleted it, the planes won't haste back home in that case. If you want them to haste back home, you're going to have to kind of get lucky on the RNG for them to go back down to the bottom, and then want to return home on their own. Similar to the last path talking about scouting, we can do the same thing, but we can actually use a line command for this. So same thing, resetting the palette by pressing spacebar, we can select the line command, make it a move directive, and let's take interceptors, and let's say we want to kind of scout this general area, like this kind of box. So instead of following some specific line, we'd like to get everything to this point and behind it, we can do a line command. It's important to go from left to right, so that the thicker part of the line is further away from you. So the planes, what they'll do is they'll kind of bunch up in this area and fan out to cover a lot of land to scout. So this would be useful for if we know there's commandos in the area and we'd like to spread out our planes a little bit, because they'll, the same way that ground units work and that they'll go up to the line kind of spaced out, the planes will do the exact same thing. Same idea, we can haste command this, and the planes will fly along this route once they get to the end of it, get a good scout off, but in the meantime they scouted all of this. I mean, it's really up to you when to use this and how to use this. On scouting, lines will probably work most of the time for interceptors because they have good enough vision already, but that is one of the uses for a move command, or move directive line command. We can apply the same thinking and make a line command that is on an engage directive. Let's take strikers, and let's say we now want to attack everything in a larger area. Here we go, we can do the exact same thing, and the planes will, you see the little faint lines, they're going to take pretty much every direction to they're going to fill up this, you see what's happening, you know what I mean? They're not going to follow this line, they're going to spread out, they're going to fan out, and they will attack everything that they see, that they proc to first. And same thing, once they reach the end of the line, they would naturally run along the line from left to right. If we flip this backwards and we had the thicker part of the line closer to our base, the planes would actually go to the other side of the line quickly, instead of staying to the south of this line. They would go to the north of it and then hug it, and then we can send them home. Same thing. A caveat about helicopters. Helicopters really only reliably respond to the point command. You can use line commands with helicopters, but they have to start pretty much right on top of the units. If this line command was even over here, the helicopters wouldn't really pick it up. So although it's possible, in general, if you find that you put down a helicopter line command that isn't responded to, it's probably because the line did not start close enough to where the helicopters were on the ground, and a point command is likely going to be a better bet. But of course, with helicopters, high skill ceiling unit, you're going to want to use the line command to move around SAMs and get them places. So we could do this, like let's move the helicopters into the back. If this line command's here, even though the detection range for this airport for helicopters, the green line, is well within this line command, it's not going to get picked up. So let's make a point command. Let's just retreat move it, and the helicopters will, all of them that are in range, will fly over. Transport jets will work the same as bombers in that they have the same range. This red line, bombers and transport jets can get this far. What we do with the transport jets is we drop commandos. Let's have a point of commandos that are relatively close to the airfield. If we reset the palette, we can click on transport jet, also click on the commando. Generally, I may get a move directive. I don't think it really matters. We can go over here and let's just use a line command and drop the commandos in the back here. Plane will take off. We can set this to haste move. All it does is consume more gas. And then when the commandos land, we can make a land point or a command to either like make a point here. Maybe the commandos want to do their own path command that's on retreat to get out of here. It's totally up to us. Using a point command for this, it could work as in like if we took commandos and transport jets and we just did a point command just randomly here and it's a little circle, the plane would go there and land. But what it does is the commandos will then treat that point command, meaning like, well, okay, when we land out of our parachute, like when we land on the ground, don't move. Because the point command would be, it would be exactly like this, right? This plane would have flown to this location, but the commandos would just stay here, at which point we have to delete the command. And instead of the transport plane hasting home, it would just regularly fly home. Good luck on that explanation. Quickly, if you're anything like me, sometimes what caught me off guard when I first started playing is that when the planes are shiny like this right after they land, this is their maintenance time. So in this time, if you set out a different command, these units are not going to respond to that command until they're done shining, they're fueled up, and ready to go for the next sortie. Next is the target command, which is R on the keyboard, or we can click on it in the UI. It sets as a default to the move directive because planes are not going to attack other units around it. They are only going to attack a high priority building that you select. We can see our enemies' buildings that we can see are flashing. Let's set this to strikers, for example, and let's try to attack this barracks. So every plane in range is going to fly in a direct line to this building. This is one of the weaknesses of a target command, is that if there are SAMs between you and the target, you're going to have to fly directly over these SAMs and take a lot of damage. And on the way back, when this building's destroyed, the planes will do the exact same thing, is that they're going to fly in a direct line back to base. So we can see that the planes are not going to at all attack the SAMs. There's no way to change this. The planes are only going to go attack the building. We could do a combination of making this a haste move to get past the SAMs quicker. When the target dies, even if this was on haste move, all the planes will stop hasting, and they will fly directly over the SAMs very slowly. So this is where a path command is probably more advantageous, because we're going to be able to say we wanted to hit this barracks. We could go around the outside and avoid these SAMs altogether. So the planes would go down to the bottom here, and they'd fly, pardon me, around the SAMs, sort of deal. And finally, a command that likely you don't want to use if you're doing this. These units are very expensive. Something has gone wrong. The Disband command. We click on this, it's automatically a move command. And what this does is units have upkeep when they exist, and say we want to save the cost of maintaining all these helicopters, we can click on anywhere on the map. It functions like a point command, and all the helicopters will fly to it and very gracefully act like SAMs are attacking them. So let's put it together a little bit here. We have SAMs from red that are just inside the vision we have. We want to attack these airports, and we want to attack these factors. We can reset the palette. We have a path command selecting interceptors, strikers, and bombers. We look at the range that we're in, and we can start off here. and fly behind these SAMs. So this way, when the planes get over here, they're not going to proc to these SAMs. They're not close enough to just start flying here to try to attack. And we're going to be guaranteed that at least the planes will all dodge the SAMs on their way to the destination. We can haste this if we wanted to, because we could move this. We could even change it to a retreat command if there was, you know, say boats here we didn't realize and we don't want to attack them for whatever reason. And here we go, we're on the target, and now we could turn off haste. We could keep on haste. Experiment what works, by the way. This isn't all set in stone. And here we go. The planes are going to hang out here, and luckily they're not going to proc to these SAMs. So we can wait for these planes to finish their bombing run, at which point they will follow the path back home. But if we're impatient, or we need to get these planes out of here now, we can always delete the line and send them home directly. But these planes would go right over the SAMs. These ones would be a little bit more lucky. If you can wait, it's probably best to wait, and if you have the gas. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helps. Good luck on ladder. Use a bunch of these commands. Try them out in sandbox. Use combinations of different commands. Figure out different uses for commands. It's not a definitive guide from this video at all. I kept it pretty high level and brief. So get in the comments. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what you want to see another video on. And if you like the video, you know what most YouTubers say. Thank you so much for the support. Good luck. Have fun. Enjoy. Peace.